I found this birdhouse in the plus section at Dollar Tree for $5. It's very pretty, but it's not quite my style, so I'm going to give it a makeover. Everything on it is made of metal, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be hung outside and used as an actual birdhouse. The little butterfly and flower that they had on there came off very easily. I'm going to paint the roof and the base and the little perch stick that's sticking out of there and around the opening with this copper paint. That took several coats. On the base of the birdhouse, it didn't look quite finished, and so I thought I would take some of these popsicle sticks and cut them at an angle because at the bottom, just because of the shape of the house, and I'm going to paint those in the same copper paint, and I glued those on with some E6000. My miters weren't perfect. These sticks didn't meet up quite perfectly. There were a little bit of a gap there, but I don't think the birds will mind. I actually like the sort of off-white color that most of this birdhouse was, so I left that alone. I got these rub-on transfers from Amazon, and they are in my Amazon shop. Link in the description box. I'm going to punch a hole in the middle of this rub-on transfer to slip over that little perch there. Rub-on transfer went on very nicely. Around the opening there, it looks a little messy. I'll be addressing that later. And I did add a couple of smaller transfers to the back corners. Painted the chain and hook that came with the birdhouse in the same copper color. Now I've used this matte clear enamel top coat from Rust-Oleum many times and used it on outdoor items, and it works well. It holds up well outside, I have found. But the problem is that the only kind that I had was matte, and I wanted the roof to be shiny. I wanted the copper components to be shiny, and then I wanted the main body of the birdhouse to be matte. So I'm going to go a different route here, and I'm going to do my matte Mod Podge on the main section of the birdhouse, and then on all the copper parts, I'm going to do the dishwasher safe Mod Podge, which is a glossy finish. So I'm hoping that will make that metal still have a metal look to it when I'm done. These little metal corners, those are in my Amazon shop, and I'm punching a hole using my Crocodile Big Bite into one of them to slip over that little perch. And I do give a light coat of that copper color to those metal corners. I take a fingernail file and I get off a lot of that rub-on transfer from around the opening in the birdhouse, and then I go over that where I sanded with that copper color. And now this is optional, of course, but I do like things to look old, and so I did some distressing with antique wax. If you're ever out and about and you find something that has good bones but you don't like the way it looks, the style of it, then go ahead and get it, because you could always change the style of something. Today I'm participating in the Just Our Imagination Challenge playlist that is hosted every month by Kathy Jo DIYs and Rustic Lace DIY. This month there's 2 co-hosts, Z9 Designs and me. What makes this a challenge is that each month each host chooses one challenge item that we must use in our craft video. This month the challenge items are the bamboo cutting board from Dollar Tree, peat pots, fly swatter, and a shower sponge. So very interesting challenge items there. I'll have more on this playlist later, but for now let's see what I came up with. I've got these fairly large styrofoam balls here. I got those from Dollar General, and I'm just going to be using one for this craft. It doesn't matter really what's inside of this rabbit though, so you could, if you don't have one of these large styrofoam balls, use a couple of bowls, like a larger bowl and a smaller bowl from the Dollar Tree. Or you could also just wad up some paper and make some little domes out of paper and maybe masking tape. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could figure out how to do this without buying these styrofoam balls. I'm going to paint this with English Ivy Green. I've got this sign from the Dollar Tree I got back in the fall, and I'm going to sand away as much of that glitter as I can, and I'm going to paint it with cashew chalk paint. I'm cutting the styrofoam ball in half, but I'm making one side a little bit bigger than the other because one's going to be the head and the other the body, so I wanted the body to stick out just a little bit further than the head. I got these napkins from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to apply Mod Podge to my sign and then let that dry. I'm going to remove the ply off the back of this napkin, so I'm just down to 1 ply, and I did iron the folds there just a little bit so it would lay down flat for me. And then I'm going to take my napkin, lay it on the dry Mod Podge, and then that heat will reactivate that Mod Podge, making the napkin stick to the sign. Now at first I usually use parchment paper in between the iron, and that really just it protects the iron from the adhesive, and it also protects your napkin from your iron as well. If you have anything on your iron, it won't rub off onto your napkin. But once that cooled down, I just used my X-Acto knife and removed that excess napkin. And I did do some distressing to make it look older with the antique wax. I bought this moss at Walmart. It is called Spanish moss, but it's called Spanish moss True Green. So it's a green Spanish moss. I like using the brown Spanish moss, but for this project I wanted it to be springy looking because I'm covering this rabbit in moss. And I'm just going to use hot glue to cover this styrofoam ball here, and then I will trim away the excess. And I just wanted to show you there, it didn't take a whole lot of that moss to cover the styrofoam ball. I still have a lot left to use on other projects. I've got these, it comes in a pack of 2, these fly swatters at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take my bolt cutters that I got from Walmart. I use these things all the time. And I'm just going to cut off the ends of the fly swatters. So I'm going to have to come up with something else to do with the rest of those fly swatters. And I just jammed those into the rabbit's head. That's going to be his ears. You could certainly leave it the metal color. I felt like that looked fine, but I'm going to go over it with some truffle chalk paint and some European gold rub and buff. Now, I didn't have any of the European gold rub and buff on anything else, so I wanted to kind of repeat that color somewhere else. And I went over the little beads along the edge of the sign with some of that European gold. Not full coverage, just, did the tops of them. And I thought that looked better than the antique wax did. Got this ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I was having a hard time deciding whether to use the bigger width or the smaller width. I went with the wider width, and I made a double loop finger bow. I channeled my inner Brenda, and I made this bow on the first try. I didn't think I was going to be able to. I thought I was going to have to go back and watch one of Brenda's videos to learn how to do it, but I mean, I think I just picked it up through osmosis through watching her videos, and it just came together. It just happened. And so if you want to learn how to make one of those little bows, go over to Brenda's channel, watch some of her videos, and you'll learn how to make that little bow. Really was just winging it and didn't know if I could do it, so I wasn't even filming. So I got no tips for you. I don't even know how it happened. It just happened. Only thing that maybe helped is while I was making the bow, I was saying out loud, I am Brenda, but I don't know if that did anything. So you might want to be careful with that. It might have been actual witchcraft or something. And if you say it too many times, you might conjure up a Yorkie, so you better be careful with that and use it wisely. Now for this shower poof. I was scared of this thing. I didn't know how I was going to use it, so of course I used it in a very safe way. I'm going to make the bunny tail out of this shower poof here. And I'm just going to take a zip tie and wrap it around just a portion of it, because this tail would be bigger than the bunny's body, so I had to just take part of this. And I, before I tightened the zip tie, I just pulled out until it was the size that I wanted. Pulled out some of the mesh there, and then I got it down to the size I liked, and then I trimmed it. I just trimmed mine up. I didn't know I was going to trim it before I pulled the zip tie, but it looked, because I didn't know how it was going to look cut, but it looked fine. And so I just trimmed that down to the right size. Now it wasn't laying on there flush, and so I dug a hole. I just took a plug of that bunny out there, and then just really jammed that down into that hole, and it fit so snug that I didn't think I even needed glue. I mean, it was in there. This is just a quick reminder that if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. That way you don't miss any future videos. And hit that hype button if you really liked this video. If you're watching within the first 7 days of it coming out. I think that's still the rules. My Dollar Trees never had those little bamboo cutting boards, but I had this little one that I've used a lot, and really it's almost too small, so I got me a little bit larger of one, because I wasn't crazy about this one and didn't need it anymore. And so I'm going to, unfortunately, I had this hole up in the corner, but I just filled that with lightweight spackling from Walmart. And then I painted it with cashew chalk paint by Waverly. This will be a free printable in the description box. Y'all, anytime I say printable in the description box, it always means that it's free. They're always free. And it's always a direct link. You don't have to sign up for anything. They're just there. It's a couple of verses out of Isaiah that I really liked, and then it has the rose border there, and I'm just going to Mod Podge this. This is printable rice paper that's in my Amazon shop as well, and so this printable is sized to that rice paper. That rice paper in my Amazon shop is size A4, but if you printed it on regular size letter paper, I believe that it would look fine, and I think it's made to where, if your sign that you're gluing this to is a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, I think this printable would work well. You can always size up and size down what you're printing in your print settings of your, when you go to print something. I got these florals at Hobby Lobby, and these little peat pots I got from Dollar General, but I noticed that they have these same style ones at Walmart this year. They did anyway in my store this year. Just cut that little peat pot in half. Peat pot looked a little bit plain, and so I took this lace ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to wrap it around and glue it, attach it to this little peat pot. Got this ribbon here that I got from Amazon. It has little tiny leaves on it, and so I'm just stealing a couple of leaves off of it to use behind my flowers. Gonna put a little decoration on the front of this peat pot. I was going to use hot glue for the peat pot, but I was afraid of it not sitting completely flush. With the hot glue, sometimes hot glue can make things stick up off of things, if that makes any sense. So I just used my Beacon 3-in-1 to glue that peat pot down. I have this piece of twine here. I tied a knot, a pretty big knot on each end, and I'm going to make that into my hanger. Because I'd already glued the peat pot down, I should have done the hanger before gluing the peat pot down. I had to use this little box here to put that peat pot in so I could turn it, face down to staple that hanger on there. And of course I did distress this with antique wax. The edges of the cutting board looked fine, but I did go ahead and paint that with that antique wax. Last minute I decided it would probably be a good idea to tell y'all the size of this cutting board in case y'all were wanting to recreate this to know what I used. But it's 9 inches, I was showing you very poorly there. It's 9 inches wide, and then 7 and it's almost 7.5 inches. It's just right there. I think it's 7 7/16 of an inch. But maybe, I'm not sure the size of the Dollar Tree cutting board, but to my eye, it looks close to the same size. This one's really quick and easy. I took a few of these peat pots here, and I'm going to cut just like that there. It's hard to explain. It's easier to watch than to explain. But can you see the heart shape? Once I've cut that shape in there, it creates, visually you can see a heart there when you look at it straight on. I got better at it the more times I did it, and I did that 4 times. You could also use some Dixie cups, some little 3-ounce, the bathroom size cups. That would work as well. And if you don't like the color of the cups that you have, you could paint them. I mean, you could decorate these up, use your imagination and make these. You could make them very festive. I kept them plain because that's how I roll. So I've got this bag of squirrels here. Never thought I'd say that sentence. And I got these from Amazon. They're in my Amazon shop. Also got this other little bag of teeny tiny animals from my good friend Shirley. Thank you, Shirley. And I told her, she just gave these to me a few days ago, and I was like, you're probably going to see these in an upcoming video. So here they are. Just chopped up some of that Spanish moss. I put one little animal in each cup. And then you could decorate these up any way you like. I had some little tiny dried flowers, and I just stuck those down in there. You could certainly make it more Eastery. You could add some little tiny carrots in there with the rabbit. You could use these little erasers from the Dollar Tree. You could you could cut off the greenery part of those and add some better greenery, maybe from some faux florals. You could also use the same technique and do it on a larger paper cup and you could even add a handle as a basket and make it like a mini Easter basket. Maybe if you have some teenagers in your home and you just want to give them something small for Easter, maybe a little gift card with some chocolates or something like that. These are so cute. They'd be cute just to sit around your house, maybe on your tiered tray, or a little mini shelf that you might have. Don't forget to go check out the playlist, and the link to the playlist will be in the description box of this video, as well as the links to all of the hosts. I want to thank Kathy, Jo, and Brenda for hosting this every month and for letting me and Cindy guest host this month. It was a lot of fun. Don't forget to check out the playlist to see what everyone else made with those interesting challenge items. I'm looking forward to seeing what they did with that shower sponge as well as the fly swatters. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.